two. During the heat of the game, it's clear he's a champ when all else disappears. Rally the team with a wink and a cheer. He's the leader that everyone fears. Quickly, it's a real heater. Once my friend, he's a locker room leader. In the chaos, he's the center, turning us into believers.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Sunday night. It is 7 p.m. It means it is time once again for the Locker Room Breakdown. This is the Rasslin Recap, the show where we look at all of the goings-on of the past week in WWE between Raw, SmackDown, and a very surprising Night of Champions last night. First off, I want to get a couple of big congratulations out of the way. I want to congratulate Team Canada in the World Cup for advancing in the knockout round, the round of 32, by a 1-0 victory over the Republic of South Africa. Congratulations to the Canadian boys. Best of luck to you. And TNA related, I did not get to see it, but I have seen a clip. Congratulations to X Division Pioneer, the Amazing Red, on being announced for the TNA Hall of Fame this coming October at Bound for Glory. This week, we had some huge shows, some serious momentum builders leading up to, like I said, a very surprising Night of Champions last night. Today, we are actually going to review everything, including Night of Champions, first, before we get into the previews, because this coming week could be very, very interesting in the WWE. Last Monday, Raw came to us at 2 p.m. Eastern from London, England, which is the standard start time for the European shows. The Raw Patrol, as always, went live at 8 p.m. Tomorrow night, a very special start time of 6 p.m. Eastern for Monday Night Raw. The Raw Patrol will be going live at our normal start time of 8 p.m. But last week, ladies and gentlemen, as we geared up for Night of Champions and the King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring finals, it was very, very interesting. We started Raw off with Obafemi talking about how he was always backed by destiny. Ever since he was born, saying destiny has always been very kind to him, and that's what led him to the WWE. It's what allowed him to defeat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. And it's what's brought him to the King of the Ring finals. And stating that destiny will take him to new heights when he wins the King of the Ring. Then he was focused with another dilemma, and he said, do I go after the WWE Championship, or do I go after the World Heavyweight Championship and put a little bit more emphasis on that title? I know a lot of people are going to read that as that is his focus, that is where he is going. And now, I hope so, but we again will have to wait and see, depending on the outcome of Night of Champions. At this point, he was interrupted by Jey Uso, his opponent in the King of the Ring finals, who came out saying, everybody has always counted me out. They counted me out when I won the Royal Rumble. They counted me out when I beat Gunther at WrestleMania. But they've also seen me shake the arenas. And they're counting me out now because they don't think I can beat you. And I'm going to do it. So this is your warning shot. Oba then proceeds to say, if that's your warning shot, when you shoot, don't miss. Because if you miss, I'm going to destroy you. And if you don't miss, I'm going to do the same thing. So take your bullets and give them to your cousin. Really showing his true direction if he is to win at Night of Champions. And then we found out that the King and Queen of the Ring finals would be the first hour of Night of Champions, as in the US, those aired free on ESPN. Backstage we go, and a guy whose frustration is building and building and building. And we've got a lot to cover with this guy tonight. I am, of course, talking about L.A. Knight. Yeah. Anyways, he runs into Adam Pearce in the back. And basically, again, accuses him of colluding with Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. Pearce saying, no, Jacob Fatu paid a fine for inflicting what he did upon comedian Eric Andre the week before. Knight then complained about Jacob jumping him when he was trying to have a conversation with the Usos. And then he was interrupted by Jimmy. Jimmy asking him the same questions, like, what's going on here? And Jimmy said that he has Knight's back. He is the only one in the Bloodline that has any respect for him, because the previous week, LA had also hit him with a steel chair and sent him flying. LA Knight called it collateral damage. Well, you don't go after one member of the Bloodline without going after the Bloodline. And LA Knight knows this from his wars with the Vision, from his wars with the MFTs. Eventually, Adam Pearce gets fed up and says, you know what? No, we're having this tonight. LA Knight and Jimmy Uso. LA Knight tells him that is a terrible idea and then proceeds to state the exact same thing because he wasn't listening to Adam Pearce and told him, I didn't hear a damn word you said. Up next, we go to our opening contest, and we do have an interview as Jackie Redmond interviewing Bayley and Lyra Valkyria backstage ahead of their opening match, which is for the Women's Tag Team Championships. And they're saying it didn't happen at WrestleMania because it was meant to happen here. We are the best team in the division, and that they have the ultimate trust. Lyra got us this match, so we need to do it. This match, meh. Not a great match. It was I don't want to say better than expected, but it was not worse than expected. It could have been a lot better, but it could have been a lot worse. A lot of back and forth. No real babyface, no real heel in this match. But it was, as Lyra got Paige set up into the Nightwing. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, Valkyria hit a Fisherman's Buster, but then Paige connected with the Rampage right out of that somehow to pick up the victory for her team. And this is where the ultimate trust really paid off. As Bayley was trying to console Lyra in the ring and gave her a hug, Lyra had enough, sent Bayley into the ropes, and proceeded to beat the living snot out of her. And even though she's trying to be held back, she then proceeds to hit Bayley with the Nightwing, cementing a heel turn for Lyra. Ladies and gentlemen, I absolutely love this. This is something that has been needed for a while. As you know, I have been preaching it. I have been pushing for it here on this show. And I cannot wait to see what they do with this. They tried to get an interview with Lyra, but she denied any questions from Jackie Redmond. And again, I don't blame her. And like I said, I am intrigued to see where they go with this and what they are going to do tomorrow on Raw. So you can stay tuned for that with the Raw Patrol tomorrow night. Up next, the guy who needs to apologize to the world. Chad Gable asked for time, came out, and asked for the Alpha Academy to come out. So Maxine Tozawa and Otis made their way out to the ring. Chad apologized to each of them individually, saying, I didn't do what was right. I did not do right by you, and I owe each of you an apology. He apologized to them as a collective. He apologized to them individually, especially Otis, saying, you were one of the best friends a guy could ever have. You moved in just down the street from me. You were one of the first people to hold my daughters when they were born. Maxine literally said, you know what? We are leaving you the same way you left us, alone. Maxine was the first to get out of the ring, and this was the first true heel promo we've heard out of Maxine since she was Sophia Cromwell in NXT. And I absolutely loved the passion, the fire in Maxine. And I have to wonder, is this Austin Theory getting into her head? Is this the idea of the Vision getting into her head? Tozawa followed Otis. Otis was really conflicted. He looked like he wanted to shake Chad Gable's hand and hug him, but very reluctantly left the ring. So now again, backstage, we see Dragon Lee talking to Rey Mysterio, saying Ethan Page instructed Rusev to take his mask off during their tag team match the previous week. Rey asked Dragon to do him a favor and teach Ethan some respect for Lucha Libre. Penta comes in. And this is very interesting because, again, all of these guys, Penta, of course, the Intercontinental Champion, all of these guys in the Intercontinental Championship picture. And I mean, let's not forget, we've got Saturday night's main event in just under 3 weeks. And then you're on to SummerSlam. So this was now a fantastic match. I wouldn't expect anything less out of Dragon Lee or Ethan Page. Both of these guys are fantastic at what they do in that ring. Back and forth, back and forth. Dragon Lee doing his, aerial assault, flying over the ropes, flying through the ropes. But Ethan Page is able to gain control of the mat after turning Dragon Lee's mask while he's trying to go for a Spanish fly. Instead of ripping it off, he tried to take it. But back and forth, Ethan Page debuting a new finisher with an egoplex, which really I think should be more of that fisherman suplex and more of a perfect plex. I'm also already missing the Twisted Grin, which is a version of the Twist of Fate, but we know he can't really do the Ego's Edge because Damian Priest and Rhea do it on SmackDown. So I can understand that. But yeah, if you're going to do that, give it something that ties in with the history of a guy who was absolutely perfect. Then again, backstage, we've got Jackie Redmond, who was very, very busy, as she always is on a Monday night, having an interview with the Vision in the back, sans Paul Heyman, who was not there. Theory saying Seth is going to get handled by Braun Breaker in the steel cage at Night of Champions. But when it comes to the tag team titles and the future of this division, they run through us. We're going to beat the Street Profits hands down because they have no respect. We are the future of the WWE. The Profits know nothing about sacrifice. Braun Breaker then saying that Seth will not be a problem in their match tonight. They're going to handle business, and then he will rip Seth's head off inside that steel cage at Night of Champions. The one woman, I don't know if she's in the right position now. We hear from her is Sol Ruka, your women's intercontinental champion. Saying, I am a thrill seeker, not just in the ring, but in everything that I do, putting myself out there, the gear, pushing myself past my comfort zone, falling, getting back up, and proving everybody wrong. Big deal. What does this mean? Where are you going with this Intercontinental Championship, Sol? Because so far, bland, dull. You are supposedly the modern day Lita, and you try and do a similar look with your bikini and your gear. You're the high flyer, but as a champion, you're bland. You need to elevate that title. We need you to defend that title. Yes, you've defended against Lyra Valkyria once, but now we need something more. I've often said that, Becky Lynch used the Intercontinental Championship as an aesthetic. Lyra was incredible with it. Maxine, I felt, needed a longer run with it. AJ Lee could have had a longer run with it as well. But I understand why they did it. But we don't need the Intercontinental Championship being an aesthetic and a set piece on whoever is holding it in the women's division. We need it defended. We need that belt to have that feel to it, that aura about it. And right now, it really doesn't. Up next in the ring, we hear from our women's Queen of the Ring finalists, Liv Morgan and Io Sky. Io comes out first. And again, doing the typical babyface thing. I'm grateful. I'm happy to be here. Blah, 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 blah. And I can't wait to face Liv for the crown. I've beaten Raquel. She's running her history with the Judgment Day back, and it's sort of been 50-50. This was not a match that I really needed or wanted. I don't think putting Liv into the Queen of the Ring tournament was the right call unless you were going to have her win the tournament. And again, we will find out. Liv then comes out stating, yes, I am the Liv Morgan, the greatest women's world champion. And again, you're not beating me. We've been through this before. And I am the face of the division. Money in the Bank winner, Royal Rumble winner, multi-time tag champion, multi-time women's champion. Queen of the Ring is really all Liv has left. And Liv is now made herself and established herself as a first ballot Hall of Famer. As has Io Sky, I cannot deny that. Because Io, with the exception of winning the Royal Rumble, has done all of those things as well. Liv saying, when I win the Queen of the Ring, I get to embarrass your best friend Rhea at SummerSlam and take her title again, giving her 2 belts. Do we need Liv Morgan with 2 belts? I understand the strength and the power that would give the Judgment Day, and I love that idea. This one does break down as Liv sucker punches Io, who starts trash talking her in Japanese. Liv sending Io out to the apron. Io hits the roundhouse and hits the drop kick off the top rope to end the segment. Again, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of backstage stuff happening on Raw as now we see Jimmy Uso getting ready for his match. When Jay comes in asking Jimmy if he needs any help, Jimmy says, no, you focus on you. Jacob shows up and they ask where he's been all night. Jay's wondering why Jay wondering why Jacob is chatting with Solo Sikoa on SmackDown. Jacob saying, I don't answer to you, I answer to Roman Reigns. Jimmy then tells him that Solo doesn't take orders very well, just like him, and none of that matters. Solo understood, and now they'll sit and wait to see if Solo shows up, because Roman has called for Solo to come home. Danhausen, ladies and gentlemen, you are cursed. And it was time. We saw Dominic Mysterio and JD McDonough storming into his lab, saying they want their money back because they paid a lot of money, and I can't remember what for. But Danhausen said he spent all of their human monies on new equipment for his lab. JD says, I'm going to take your equipment then, if you don't give him back the $100,000. Danhausen then curses him. Dom says JD is uncursable, and JD gets himself electrocuted by touching new equipment. Ladies and gentlemen, Danhausen is an absolute genius. You gotta love what he does in and out of the ring. And you can't wait to see what is next. And Danhausen is still a free agent as he goes anywhere and everywhere. A lot on the line in this next match, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to cover that in just a moment. But first, please check out our shop.
The Turnbuckle Studios store is open for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the merch and represent the best from the shows you watch on a weekly basis. Multiple styles to choose from with over 10 products available. Don't get left out and pick up all your favorites today. Find us at turnbucklestudios.org.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Turnbucklestudios.org is your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program, and we encourage you to check out our shop, powered completely by redbubble.com. It is 100% safe and secure. Support your favorite shows and your favorite podcasters. Wear what we wear. And, ladies and gentlemen, all of those proceeds come back into our studios to bring you a better experience. On top of that, when you make a purchase, tag us on the socials, send us an email, show us a picture, something. Let us know what you bought. We will give you a shout out live right here on air during one or more of our many, many weekly programs. All right. Jimmy Uso and LA Knight about to lock it up. They start, well, before the bell rings, Jimmy shoves LA. And these two guys, they both have said that they have a little bit of respect for each other. This then started with them just throwing bombs and chucking knuckles at each other. It was I'd love to say a London hockey fight, but let's just say they were a couple of soccer hooligans. How about that? In and out of the ring, back and forth. This was a good, solid match. No, there was, Jey Uso didn't get involved. Jacob didn't get involved. And just as Jimmy had control and went to the top rope for the Uso splash. No, sorry. LA Knight was down and out in the corner. Charles Robinson, the official, checking on him. Jimmy on the top rope when all of a sudden it's Solo Sikoa joining Raw and hitting his brother Jimmy with the Samoan spike, which then allows LA Knight to hit the BFT, pick up the victory. And then LA Knight realized what happened, and he's pointing at Solo saying, wait, what the hell? I wasn't picking up the victory this way. That ain't right. He took the win. He wasn't honest about it, but he took the win, but still said, no, this ain't right. And there is more to come on LA Knight and Solo Sikoa in just a little bit. Then announced that Raw tomorrow will be taking place at 6 p.m. from Atlantic City, New Jersey at the Boardwalk Hall, because there is a double show. And we're going to cover that when we get to the previews in just a little while. So, tomorrow night, you're going to have Raw and SmackDown in the same building. We'll get to that in the previews. Jackie Redmond now seen backstage interviewing the Street Profits as they are getting ready for their World Tag Team Championship match against the Vision. This could be the 5th time that the Street Profits win the Tag Team Championships. I remember once, maybe twice. I don't remember 4 reigns. I really don't. Maybe it's because they were too short. I don't know. Prophet saying they're ready. Dawkins says, yeah, you know what? Theory tried to take me out and it didn't work. Because unlike Logan Paul, I'm cleared to compete and we're ready to get the job done. We're going to show the world that the Vision is impaired. So yeah, they're blind. They're visually impaired. Ha ha ha. Good joke. And that the Vision's London Bridge will come crashing down. So, you're getting those subtle comedic moments in these comments, and I am okay with it because you are drawing to the history of London, the London Bridge, London Tower, the city's history. I'm good with it. Next, we see Jackie Redmond catching up to Bailey in the trainer's room. And Bailey had nothing to say when asked if she saw this attack from Lyra Valkyria coming. More from the Judgment Day as we see Raquel and Roxanne talking in the clubhouse. Raquel saying, I cannot continue to let these opportunities slip. She's right. Raquel needs to capitalize on these opportunities. Is it time for maybe Raquel to say to Liv, let me go and worry about Rhea Ripley? Is it time for her to say, let me go and punch Sol Ruca in the mouth? Roxanne saying it should have been you and Liv in the finals. And Roxanne wishing that they had something to celebrate. Due to what happened earlier with JD electrocuting himself, he comes in and reintroduces himself to everybody. Liv comes storming into the clubhouse, ticked off. Roxanne then instructs Dom to bring JD to the trainer's room. Native champions. Raquel saying she knows that Liv will become the queen of the ring, but she can't see what the rest of the family isn't doing well because Liv is only focused on herself. Mr. Best coming in saying he's betting that Liv will want to help, will want Raquel to help her against Io. Probably. But again, we're going to cover that when we get to Night of Champions. We're going to see what happens there. Liv also saying she will become a double champion at SummerSlam. Again, do we need another double champion? We will find out. Liv then instructs Raquel to go after Sol Ruca and that Women's Intercontinental Championship, and I would love to see it. Could we see 2 dudes with attitude? Shawn Michaels and Diesel played out with Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. I think I would be okay with that. Liv also promises that Dom will get his money back, but they need to focus on getting back the Intercontinental Championship from Penta. What happened to Roxanne? Roxanne all of a sudden left out there on her own. Where do we go from here? Is it time? You just had Lyra turn heel earlier in the night. Is it maybe time to turn Roxanne babyface? Now we see Adam Pearce again in the backstage area chatting with Chad Gable. And they were having a conversation regarding Penta and the Intercontinental Championship. Dominic saying, Chad, you're not getting the match with Penta before me. Pierce telling JD to go to medical. Dom says that JD will be fine, and Dom says that Gable doesn't deserve anything when he can't even get an apology from his loser friends. And speaking of apologies, where is Dom's apology? Because he is the king of the luchadors. So he was the most disrespected of them all. And it was Dom that sent Chad Gable to Mexico, where he became the original El Grande Americano. Adam Pearce disrespects him and then says, what are you going to do about Danhausen stealing the money? Pearce says, nothing, because that's your problem. And saying, Gable did go to Mexico, and this is what he gets for listening to a dumbass. So if you want an apology, you can try and beat it out of him. Dom says, I don't just hand out matches. So if he wants that match, how about he faces JD tomorrow night? We go to a sit-down interview between Corey Graves and Seth Rollins. This was very introspective on Seth's part. Surprisingly, no interruptions, no interference, none of that stuff. So we get an idea of where Seth's head is at going into this match with Braun Breaker at Night of Champions. And up next in our main event, we have the Vision, Austin Theory and Braun Breaker with the injured Logan Paul in their corner going up against the Street Profits for the World Tag Team Championships. This was a tag team clinic on both sides. I absolutely loved this match in a division that is starving for talent and needs to really get reestablished. I loved this match. The Vision had control for a while, Breaker using his speed and power, Theory using his agility, his smarts, his ring IQ. The Street Profits, of course, able to fight back. You have the power and size of Angelo Dawkins. You have the speed, the agility, and the high flying of Montez Ford. Back and forth they went. And just as it seemed that the Street Profits were going to get control, Logan Paul interferes and then looks like he is going to hand the brass knucks to Theory. He gets tossed, but then comes sneaking back around. Looks like he's going to hand the brass knucks to Theory. But he is intercepted by Seth Rollins, who chases him off and then gets the brass knucks. And it is Seth Rollins who clocks Austin Theory with the brass knucks while the ref's back is turned, allowing the Street Profits to hit their finisher, pick up the 1, 2, 3, the Street Profits are up, and they got the smoke. Your new World Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits. Ladies and gentlemen, all in all, a solid show. Really set up where everything was going with Night of Champions. What were we going to get on Saturday afternoon? Well, we're going to have to find out right after we discuss SmackDown. So, ladies and gentlemen, while we get ready to review SmackDown, take a look at everything else coming up for you here each and every day of the week at Turnbuckle Studios.
Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program bring you the week of streams. All times are in Eastern Time. Monday night we are on call as the Raw Patrol is on duty at 8 p.m. Tuesday brings you the flagship show, Turnbuckle Talk, at 8:05 p.m. Wednesday we play games with the PlayStation Showcase at 8 p.m. Thursdays let us power your dreams with the Xbox Showcase at 9 p.m. Friday we invite you to come for a ride with the SmackDown Security Detail at 8 p.m. The weekend brings you Saturday Night Gaming at 8 p.m. On Sunday, be sure to catch the Chris Parrish podcast at 12:15 p.m. And later in the day, the Locker Room presents Rasslin Recap Delivers at 7 p.m. Always be aware that weekend shows can vary in times, as the PLE Patrol and other watch party streams are always a must-see. Be part of the shows and join the chat every day and watch all of the latest episodes on turnbucklestudios.org/shows. And please do not forget to drop a like, follow, and to subscribe to all of our channels, and when the time is right, all you have to do is tap in.
And once again, ladies and gentlemen, turnbucklestudios.org is your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program, and there is something for you each and every night of the week. In fact, going on right now, over on his channels, our good friend Chris Parrish is hosting an NXT watch party for the Great American Bash. But we want you to meet the team behind those shows. Myself, Chris Best, Bubba Duke, Chris Parrish, Logan Thompson, and the Godfather, Carl Carafel. Click on each of our individual links to get our socials so you can interact with us out there on the interwebs. And then you can also check out our latest weekly live episodic programs there as well. All of that and more at turnbucklestudios.org. Normally, this would be the point where I'm covering what's to come on Raw, but no, we're going to cover what happened on SmackDown first, because we want to build to everything that happened at Night of Champions. So we started off with Trick Williams and Ricky Saints. SmackDown also came to us from the O2 Arena in London, England. So really intriguing that they are doing this back-to-back shows at the same arena now. I like it. I really do. Because now you can get different crowds. I know you're going to get a lot of the same crowd who are going to get tickets for both shows, but you can get different crowds because you're going to have some different fans there. Anyways, this was to get ready for their U.S. Championship match. Trick Williams and Ricky Saints. And I don't know what they're doing with Trick Williams. I really don't. He's supposed to be a babyface, yet the way he's coming off is still heelish and brash. Ricky Saints is supposed to be the heel in this situation. I don't know what to make of this. Ricky Saints saying, yes, I am a threat to take that U.S. championship, and then tried to get physical by trying to cheap shot Little Yachty. Nothing much to this one. I actually missed this part of the show as I was on my way home from work. It was announced, though, that, over the weekend, and we all knew this, that Trick Williams did marry Lash legend. Not a big deal. Very, very interesting women's tag match here to start Raw. And I am okay when these shows are very, very female heavy. I love women's wrestling. I am all about women's wrestling and supporting them. Alexa Bliss teaming up with Tiffany Stratton. We know that Tiff and Charlotte have had history, but they've worked together. Is Tiffany Stratton just replacing? And I don't think replacing is the right word, but is she an equal substitution for Rhea Ripley, who is currently injured at this point in this trifecta? But we know that Charlotte, of course, injured as well, which is why Tiffany was teaming with Alexa Bliss against B-Fab and Michin. This, again, solid match. B-Fab really, really coming a long way and really improving her in-ring work. I just wish that the WWE would do something more with and for Michin, rather than just have her being a minion for Jade and, yet again, an enhancement talent. What would we get? This was a great match back and forth, but Jade Cargill interfered late in the match. Costing Tiffany Stratton. What can I say? Yes, we got the win for B-Fab and Michin. Okay, great. But what does it do for them? Are they in the women's tag team title picture? Yes or no? Really, all we see them doing is just picking up the slack for Jade, as we see any good heel leader do. Triple H with Evolution, of course, even with his version of DX at one point. Ric Flair, the list goes on and on. Even Rhea Ripley when she was heading up the Judgment Day, and to this point, Liv Morgan. So we're getting it. It's the same old, but it's a time-tested fact that this works. However, as they surrounded Tiffany Stratton, Chelsea Green makes the save? What is this world coming to? Chelsea Green making the save. I know we are seeing Chelsea Green try to turn over a new leaf and maybe become a baby face, or is she just setting herself up to get back into the U.S. title picture to challenge Tiffany? Or does this work to Chelsea's favor and maybe get Tiffany as an ally, and they can go and challenge for the women's tag team championships? Ladies and gentlemen, perhaps your match of the night. Rey Fenix defending the AAA Cruiserweight Championship against Nathan Frazier. We saw Phoenix and Axiom a week ago. Then we get this match, and guys, they tore the house down. This was as acrobatic and technical a match as you could get. Yes, they mixed lucha the high flying, the dives, but the wrestling as well. Both guys. And I don't think I've ever seen a bad Nathan Frazier match. I'm not a high flying guy. I don't like that. It's not my style. But I don't think I've seen a bad Nathan Frazier match. Back and forth this went. Yes, in the end, Ray Phoenix picked up the victory clean. But again, we got that respect with Phoenix even putting the cruiserweight title down to shake Frazier's hand and pick him up from the ropes. We had even seen a couple of times where it looked like Frazier was getting ticked off, frustrated, and might snap and turn heel. But we didn't get that in this match. And I am good with this. It is time to get some more AAA representation. We know that Phoenix is a member of the SmackDown roster. But to have the AAA Cruiserweight Championship defended on consecutive weeks on SmackDown, I like. Would it be time maybe to instill Ray Phoenix with the AAA Cruiserweight Open Challenge? Trick Williams got rid of the U.S. Championship Open Challenge. We know that Tiffany sort of put it out there, but it hasn't been followed up on. Would this be the way to get proper representation to get more eyes on the AAA product? I would love to see it. We saw it when the U.S. Championship Open Challenge was there. Those were typically your matches of the night. And I think that these matches could do the exact same thing. I would like to see that for all of the secondary titles. So make it your Intercontinental titles, your U.S. titles. Do it. Make it happen. You could really boost your ratings and get solid matches that absolutely steal the show. I know that SmackDown is returning to a 2-hour format very, very soon. I am not a big fan of this idea. I said it when we covered Raw. We were going to talk about LA Knight quite a bit. Yeah. And now we got to talk about him on SmackDown. Because LA Knight showed up with questions to ask. And he said, yeah, Jimmy suffered the L. Jimmy had to eat the BFT, and that's on him. But something don't sit right with me, so I need Solo Sikoa to come out here. Solo came out, and LA Knight asked him, why'd you do what you did? Solo said, I did it because I hate the bloodline. I hate Roman Reigns. I hate Jacob. I hate the Usos. And then said, you know what? The enemy of my enemy is my friend, and you and I can take out the bloodline together. LA Knight said, no, the enemy of my enemy is not my friend. No, we're not doing this. And LA Knight left Solo hanging. I'm okay with this. This is LA Knight showing that it's something he's seen a million times before. He's done it a million times before. It's something he is not going to let happen again. Because we were in the same building as Monday, yes, we got LA Knight. We know the women's tag team championships get defended on each and every show. So why they don't go to NXT very often, I don't know. But this was not a tag team match. This was one-on-one London's own Paige taking on Fatal Influence's JC Jane. What a win for JC. Give Fatal Influence another women's tag team championship match, or would Paige be able to stop the influence? Well, again, this was hard-hitting. This match really put a spotlight and a showcase on JC Jane. And I loved it. Both of these women are former NXT champions. But it was, again, the interference at the end. And this is something that we don't need to see in each and every match. As Fatal Influence did go after Brie Bella on the outside to create a distraction. But this ended up also costing JC Jane, who ate a Rampage DDT and suffered the L, giving Paige the win. I know we've complained in the past about WWE not booking hometown people to win the big match. But you've just had Paige retain the tag team championships on Monday in her hometown. This one should have been a JC Jane victory instead. You could have had Paige, really split the difference, have her eat the L one-on-one, but retain the titles, which was what was important. And then you can build another tag team championship match. I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. Danhausen. Genius. I absolutely love this guy, and we saw him team up with Matt Cardona to take on the tag team of Los Garza. Who, confronted him saying, no, you owe us money from uncursing the Knicks and having them win the NBA championship. Danhausen, however, and again, I love this, ladies and gentlemen, had a very, very electrifying Miz and Kit Wilson, who came out looking like zombies and showing the effects of what happened a couple of weeks earlier when they got electrocuted. Miz still going through all of his old catchphrases of "Hoorah! Awesome! When my hand goes up, your mouth goes shut." I absolutely loved it. This was hilarious. Los Garza took control, and at one point, as they were going for their finish, of course, Danhausen in the ring hit the "You Are Cursed," knocking, who was it, Berto off of the ropes, and Danhausen picked up the victory. Yes, it was Umberto Carrillo or Berto. This guy is a comedic genius, and I love him for it. Before we get to our next match, ladies and gentlemen, I could use some help. Not only me, but we all could here at Turnbuckle Studios.
A Turnbuckle affiliation program is looking for more people. If you have passion level for pro wrestling, sports, videos games, or something else, then Turnbuckle Studios is the place to be. If you have ever wanted to pursue content creation and want to join our team, then we would love to have you. Check out turnbucklestudios.org or contact us by email today because your future is now, and we want you to tap in.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, turnbucklestudios.org is your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. And if you have ever wanted your break in podcasting, content creation, or to help us out behind the scenes, hit the join button. Send us your credentials via email. Tell us how you can help us, how we can help you, and we will sit down as a collective and find the right fit. All of that and more at turnbucklestudios.org. All right. So a match that came about as a result of what happened with our first match, Chelsea Green and Jade Cargill. This one should have been an easy walk in the park for Jade. But this was Chelsea Green with her experience, her knowledge, and doing what she does, playing that scared individual, despite the fact that she is a baby face, really made this match a lot more. Jade was, of course, gearing up for her U.S. Championship match against Tiffany Stratton at Night of Champions. And we did get the expected outcome of Jade Cargill picking up this match, but this match was completely made by Chelsea. Another women's match and a surprise debut. We had seen a few weeks earlier, Julia and Kiana James split up. This was the fallout from that. Julia versus Kiana James, and again, Kiana James, ladies and gentlemen, she is going to go places. Even though she suffered the L, this was again a case of WWE booking the home country girl to win because, yes, Julia was born in the UK, raised in Japan. Back and forth. Back and forth. Even at one point, Julia was looking to go for her finish, and Kiana James was able to go really dead weight, and Julia struggled until the time was right. Julia did pick up the victory, but ladies and gentlemen, I love Kiana James. I have been a fan of hers since her time in NXT, and it's time to really have her break out. Give her a push, ladies and gentlemen. When the time is right, maybe pull the trigger and move her to Raw to challenge Sol Ruka. Maybe when the time is right, you have her defeat Tiffany Stratton to become the women's U.S. champion. She would be fantastic in that role. After Julia picked up the victory and was celebrating, we've seen the vignettes coming soon, coming soon. And London's own Blake Monroe made her debut by laying out Julia. This is going to be fantastic. We need something more to really help push Julia to that next level. There was so much more expected of her and for her. I know that a lot of us here had expected her to be on the same type of plane as a Stephanie Vicaire, and she's not. But you speak of underutilized women, where's Jordan Grace? This is a woman who, really when they brought her to NXT, it fell flat. When she was being used as part of the crossover, Jordan Grace was amazing, but where is Jordan Grace? This would be a situation where Jordan Grace can step in and offer some support, some backup to Julia. Maybe she could become Kiana James' muscle. I mean, she's not doing anything. Give Jordan Grace something to do. Put her with Chelsea Green. Let her become the new Slagent. I don't know. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, on SmackDown, we set up our triple threat undisputed championship match between Cody, Gunther, and Sami Zayn for Night of Champions. And this really, really got out of hand. All three of these guys were there. All of a sudden, it gets interrupted by Jey Uso. It gets interrupted by Obafemi. Guys, what are we doing here? We know that the Jey and Oba were getting ready to face each other at Night of Champions in the King of the Ring, with the winner getting the shot at the championship of their choosing at SummerSlam. We know that. Was there any need to involve them when we knew that you could have seen something at the end of Night of Champions with whoever had won coming out to look at the title and lay the challenge down? This wound up with Obafemi standing over everybody when the chaos finally ended. Was it a foreshadow of things to come? Was it not? Ladies and gentlemen, we'll look at Night of Champions right after this.
The Turnbuckle Studios store is open for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the merch and represent the best from the shows you watch on a weekly basis. Multiple styles to choose from with over 10 products available. Don't get left out and pick up all your favorites today. Find us at turnbucklestudios.org.
A Turnbuckle affiliation program is looking for more people. If you have passion level for pro wrestling, sports, videos games, or something else, then Turnbuckle Studios is the place to be. If you have ever wanted to pursue content creation and want to join our team, then we would love to have you. Check out turnbucklestudios.org or contact us by email today because your future is now, and we want you to tap in.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we remind you that turnbucklestudios.org is your home for the Turnbuckle affiliation program. Please check out our shop powered by redbubble.com. Support your favorite shows and your favorite podcasters. All of the proceeds come back to our studios to bring you a better experience, and we could use your help. So Send us your creds. Tell us how you can help us, how we can help you, and we will sit down together and find the right fit. All of that and more at turnbucklestudios.org. Night of Champions. Very, very surprising. The card looked absolutely stacked, and it was, but could it deliver? We opened the show. The first match, Jey Uso versus Obafemi, King of the Ring finals. And I don't think there was a right decision on winning this match. I had Jey Uso winning, but in the end, it was Obafemi in his longest main roster match. Everybody is chanting Oba much like they chanted Goldberg, Goldberg. I don't want a guy like Oba hot-shotted right into the world title picture. And I know he's been around on the main roster since the Royal Rumble. But even still, I mean, we are 6 months in. This, to me, is still hot-shotting it. Jey Uso made Oba earn this victory, though. This was Jey controlling the match, Jey's experience. Jey deserves another shot at a singles title, but Oba picked it up. Oba did not make his decision right then and there, however. Will we hear from Oba tomorrow night? Who knows? But personally, I would have liked to see, if this would not have been the first match on the card, and I really think that that was a mistake. I think you should have had, like I said, I don't think there was a right choice to win this match, so I think you could have had something where you see Brock Lesnar in the back laying out Oba. You could have had maybe a Jacob or somebody else laying out Jey Uso. And then you don't actually have to crown that king. You can then get to Jey Uso for a title another way. And you can build to Brock Oba 3 for SummerSlam. Do we still go that route? I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, we do have Saturday night's main event coming up on July 18th as well. Could that be the route we go? I'm not a big fan of this decision. But again, there really was no right way. There was no wrong way. I mean, I know the people are tired of the bloodline as well. So a Jey win would have ticked off a lot of people just as much as the Oba win has upset me. So what do we know? Where is Oba going to put his focus? And will we hear about it on Raw? The Queen of the Ring was our second match, Io Sky versus Liv Morgan. This started with Danhausen coming out onto the stage, celebrating his first time in Riyadh with the Riyadhausens, and saying he's had a wonderful time. He's absolutely loved it. When he is interrupted by Liv Morgan, who then says, you owe the Judgment Day a lot of money, and we're going to collect it one way or another. And then Danhausen curses Liv Morgan, who then proceeds to continue her way to the ring to face Io Sky. And this match, ladies and gentlemen, these two women, they tore it down. But in the end, it was Io Sky capturing the Queen of the Ring. And then saying, Liv, I'll see you at SummerSlam. Why didn't we just put the title on the line in this match? Io could have said, okay, I'll give you Queen of the Ring. You put the title on the line right here, right now. That would have made a lot more sense to me. I do not want to see this match again. I don't need to see this match again. This is just Io and the Judgment Day running back an old rivalry. We know that Roxanne is going to be fed to Io on this trip up. We know that Raquel is going to be fed to Io on the trip to SummerSlam. Are we going to get the tag match again? Are we going to get Rhea Ripley coming back to Raw for a night to team with Io? Do we go to an 8-woman tag and let's say we throw Lyra in there with the Judgment Day to take on Bayley, Rhea, or potentially Tiffany Stratton, Charlotte Flair, and Alexa Bliss? I don't know. This is not a match I am looking forward to. I'm actually going to be on vacation SummerSlam weekend, so I will unfortunately not be available to see it. But I digress. Our third match of the night, steel cage match. Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker. And what a cage match it was. This match started off with these two guys sitting in steel chairs, staring each other down inside the cage. Okay. Loved the intensity, loved the emotion behind it. The match absolutely delivered. Seth Rollins with an avalanche stomp picks up the victory inside the cage, as both men did try to make escapes at one point. But we knew that this had to end. I know that people out there are calling this a burial of Braun Breaker. I don't see that. I do see Braun Breaker falling into that same category of John Cena, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, even as Seth Rollins being one of those divisive wrestlers. This, I think, was Braun's true litmus test to see, okay, can I hang with the big guys in a main event caliber match? And he absolutely proved that he could. Our men's U.S. Championship, Trick Williams and Little Yachty, or Trick Williams versus Ricky Saints. Of course, Trick has Little Yachty in his corner. I asked it earlier, what are they doing with Trick Williams? This guy is supposed to be a babyface, yet after he picks up the win, he and Yachty proceed to beat down Ricky Saints, which is a heel move. So which is it, Trick? Are you a babyface representing the U.S. Championship? Or are you a heel? Because you guys really put Ricky over and made him look like the face at the end of this match. Maybe Ricky needs himself some backup to take you guys down a peg. Our women's U.S. Championship, Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton. A lot of us here had Jade Cargill pegged to win. I had Tiffany pegged to retain the title because Jade would get disqualified. However, this match did result in a ton of shenanigans to close it out, with B-Fab and Michin coming out to cause a distraction. Chelsea Green got involved, and I believe it was Jade went into the championship podium and did get taken out, distracted by Charlotte Flair, allowing Tiffany to hit the prettiest moonsault ever and pick up the victory. This, to me, is setting the stage. We are going to go to Charlotte and Jade at SummerSlam, but do we go to a Charlotte? Do we go back to Charlotte, Alexa, and somebody versus BFAB, Michin, and Jade at Saturday night's main event first? And I think if you're going to do that, you go with Tiffany Stratton. Do you put Tiffany Stratton in the ring defending the U.S. Championship against Charlotte and Jade at SummerSlam? Or do you go another direction, potentially a Chelsea Green or somebody else? The match of the night, the shock of the year, our undisputed championship match, Cody Rhodes, Gunther, and Sami Zayn. This match, back and forth, all out. They took out the American announce table. They took out the Arabic announce table. And in the end, with a clean victory as Cody went to hit the crossroads, a quick roll-up executed. 1, 2, 3, your winner and new undisputed champion. And I'm very intrigued to see where they go with this. And because I'm hoping it's not a token run, Sami Zayn. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Sami Zayn is your undisputed WWE champion. I hope this is not a token run for Sami. We know, yes, he is of Syrian background as well, being from Canada. So to win this in front of his people in Saudi Arabia is huge. We just talked about WWE booking the people to win the big one in their home. I am good with this, but I hope that this is more than just a consolation and token run for Sami Zayn. Ladies and gentlemen, I will come back here in just a moment to preview everything for the coming week in WWE.
Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program bring you the week of streams. All times are in Eastern Time. Monday night, we are on call as the Raw Patrol is on duty at 8 p.m. Tuesday brings you the flagship show, Turnbuckle Talk, at 8:05 p.m. Wednesday, we play games with the PlayStation Showcase at 8 p.m. Thursdays, let us power your dreams with the Xbox Showcase at 9 p.m. Friday, we invite you to come for a ride with the SmackDown Security Detail at 8 p.m. The weekend brings you Saturday Night Gaming at 8 p.m. On Sunday, be sure to catch the Chris Parrish podcast at 12:15 p.m. And later in the day, the Locker Room presents Rasslin Recap delivers at 7 p.m. Always be aware that weekend shows can vary in times, as the PLE Patrol and other watch party streams are always a must-see. Be part of the shows and join the chat every day and watch all of the latest episodes on turnbucklestudios.org/shows. And please do not forget to drop a like, follow, and to subscribe to all of our channels, and when the time is right, all you have to do is tap in.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, turnbucklestudios.org is your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program, and there is something for you each and every day of the week here. We want you to meet the team behind those shows. Myself, Bubba Duke, Chris Parrish, Logan Thompson, Chris Best, and the Godfather, Carl Carafel. In fact, our good friend Chris Parrish does have a watch-along going on right now for NXT's Great American Bash, and I encourage you to go over and check him out right after this show ends here. Please. But click on our individual links in the host section to get our socials and watch our latest weekly live episodic shows. All of that and more at turnbucklestudios.org. Tomorrow night on Raw, we are going to see The only confirmed match we have is Chad Gable and JD McDonough. Is this the Chad Gable apology tour? Is this going to result in Chad Gable versus Dom? Do we potentially build to that being for the AAA Mega Championship? Or do we go another direction? Does this put Chad Gable into contention for the Intercontinental Championship? Does this get JD back into contention for that? Or is this just a way to push Dom back into that championship picture as well? A lot of those questions can be answered over the next little while, but I'm very intrigued to see. I do fully expect Chad Gable to pick up the victory, but this is going to be an amazing, amazing match. As well, we are going to hear from Roman Reigns and the Bloodline, and a lot of ways that this can go as well. Does he lay into Jay for not winning the King of the Ring and not being able to challenge for the title over on SmackDown? Does he address Obafemi, who won the King of the Ring? Does he address Solo Sikoa for his actions over what happened the previous week when Solo attacked Jimmy and then proceeded to say on SmackDown, I hate Roman Reigns, I hate the Usos, I hate Jacob, I hate the Bloodline? Or, being that it is a double taping, are all hands on deck? And does Roman ask for Sami Zayn to come out, your new undisputed champion? Does he ask Sami Zayn to come out so that he can acknowledge him as a member of the Bloodline and another one who has brought gold to the family? We are going to hear from Obafemi, is my guess, because we don't have anything confirmed. Will Obafemi make his decision tomorrow night on Raw over who he challenges at SummerSlam? I would expect as well that we are going to hear from Io Sky, who has laid out the challenge and said to Liv Morgan that she will see her at SummerSlam. Is this maybe where we get the return of CM Punk gearing up to SummerSlam? Do we get the return of an AJ Lee? There are so many variables. Is this an all hands on deck type of situation for both shows again this week? We will have to wait and see. Ladies and gentlemen, SmackDown has not given us anything, but there will be fallout there as well. What's going to happen with Trick Williams in the U.S. Championship? I'm sure we will hear once again from our new world champion, Sami Zayn. Will we get a challenge from Cody Rhodes to get his rematch at SummerSlam? If anybody saw the interaction that happened after the match at Night of Champions with Gunther and Nick Aldis on the socials, do we get a challenge there? This is all very, very interesting, all very intriguing. Where do we go on SmackDown? Ladies and gentlemen, the only way to find out this week is to tune in to the Raw Patrol and the SmackDown Security Detail this week, where you can join Chris Best and a host of others. I will be on holidays for the next couple of weeks. I am going to try to be here to do this show, but I am going to be on holidays with family, and I will see you for sure in about 3 weeks' time. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for joining me here tonight. As always, I'd like to remind you the world is better with you in it. And from myself and the Locker Room Breakdown and everybody at the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program, to those of you out there wherever you are, good night, good luck. I'm out.
too. During the heat of the game, it's clear he's a champ when all else disappears. Rally the team with a weekend